Hi, everybody. I'm John Self, and welcome to Lunch and Learn. Today, we're going to talk about ways to help you focus on your job search so you can accelerate your time and be more effective and get out of that morass that is the dysfunctional recruiting process today. Speaking of recruiting processes, I want you to check out our newsletter that drops tomorrow on Substack. It's called Guiding a Career. We have a really good article about the problems with recruiting, and we have another article that talks about how the thing we hate the most right now, automation in recruiting, may become sort of a godsend so that more people get considered. Now, with automation, 70 to 75% of all the resumes submitted are never seen by human eyes. And it's really frustrating for all of you. And I never had to apply that way, so I can't imagine. I never used automation in that category, for screening applications in my search. I did occasionally post on iHire and ZipRecruiter, and they use a form of applicant tracking system. And I was always underwhelmed with the quality of the candidates they submitted. And I know people who were really qualified. I never saw their resume. So there's a lot of bugs in recruiting right now. You can't control the automation package, with the exception of doing a really good job customizing your resume and really speaking to the needs of the client. That's what you can control, but you can't control the algorithm. You can't control the missteps that the computers might make. You can't make, the mistakes happen. And so you just have to control what you can. And one of the things you can control is how you look for a job and focusing your job career strategies. Most of the people that I deal with some exceptions, some really good exceptions, struggle with the job search because they're not really focused. And that's understandable because job searching is not like any other part of your normal job. I mean, it's really not. It's a research program, it's a marketing program, it's a self-promotion program, and it requires a lot of discipline, a lot of focus. And people come to it with the belief that the experiences they've had in the past will suffice, and they won't, because the market is changing so dramatically. The technology is shifting under our very feet, and so everything that worked in the past will not work today. So you have to relearn how to look for a job. So we're going to try to help you focus those issues today. Now, the executive job market, as I've said before, it's a tight market, and it's going to get tighter as organizations merge, as they consolidate, as management people look at how to cut out layers of management so the organization can be more responsive. But with this tightening of the marketplace, the normal executive, in some cases management searches, are expanding from 4 to 6 months in duration to 8 to 14 months. And that's really important for you to understand if you get into this situation. Now, the other thing you've got to remember, you cannot ignore this. You cannot say that it's not important, because it's extremely important. And that is that more than 60% of all executive jobs are filled by networking referrals, not by job boards, not by online applications, but by somebody who knows somebody who gets you in the door. And that's called networking. And if you don't like doing it, we can help you figure out ways to do it better. But you can't not do it unless you want to take a lesser job, or you want to sit on the sidelines. Now, the applicant tracking system, artificial intelligence, that's going to dominate how resumes get to clients for online submissions. That's never going to change. I mean, that we are not going back in time on that issue. Matter of fact, it's going to become more profound, more sophisticated, more high speed, and will require additional things from executives and managers to be successful in the job search. Somebody said the other day, and I agree, if you're a manager or an executive today, this is a period where you have to unlearn and relearn. And I think that's so appropriate. Applicants who begin their search with a written plan When you say, okay, I left the company, I want to find a new position, and I didn't want to have to continue working. I didn't need the money, so I could just find my new next career position without having to work, and I could concentrate on this. Or you may have been laid off, or you may have been sacked. Those things happen in life. It doesn't mean you're a bad person if you've been laid off or sacked. You need to kind of think about how you're going to avoid that in the future. But you need to start, regardless of the reason you're in the marketplace, with a written plan of how you're going to conduct the search. Because, most people who have written career plans and written plans for their job search are more successful. That's really important. Executives who understand their value, you've got to understand your value and know that their next career step that helps you narrow your focus, and that's so important. If you're sitting around shooting off over here, I have a guy that I really admire a lot, and he was so frustrated by the time he and I started working, but he had gotten in where he was just, if it moved, he shot at it. And he spent a lot of time applying. It took him almost 14 months and over 100 applications. That's a lot of time, considering it takes 30 to 45 minutes to an hour or more to fill an online application. So if you understand your value, that's going to help you because you tend to be more focused. And it's really important. Understanding your value. What does that mean? It means if I ask you, why should we hire you? You've got a killer response that talks about your skills, your successes, and how that might benefit my organization. Now, the executives who embrace all these changes occurring in the job search process can avoid the costly, time-wasting mistakes. I want to tell you something. It's going to take you a lot longer, and it's going to cost you a lot more to find your next better job. Again, if you do not have a career plan, this is an early stage action alert. Get one. Sit down. If you have questions, you can reach out to us on our website and set up a 30-minute free consultation. We'll help get you started. Now, if you've not been notified through, or you're not watching the WARN website, WARN, that's a federal website that connects you to your local, depending on what state you're in, your local workforce commission or unemployment agency, and any organization that has more than 100 employees is required by law now to notify the state workforce agency, and they will post it so that people will know that a layoff is coming. And it's really helpful because if you work for, I was looking at some of the Texas alerts about 3 or 4 months ago, and FedEx laid off several people in Texas at several locations. And one of the people, was quoted as saying that he got a better job before the layoff notice came because he had been following the WARN notifications and saw that his plant was, or his facility was one of those listed. And he said, I was a fairly new hire, so I knew I would probably not survive. So it can be very, very helpful. Now that was a line employee. Managers and executives, you're in the notice period too. So if you see something about your organization, that might be a good alert and a heads up. Now, if you have been laid off, you need before you get started, you need to do this because you says, no, I've got to get a job now. I have to have money. I understand. Been there, done that. What I'm telling you is you need to take a couple of days to get organized. I think you need to really focus on why did you get picked for the layoff versus someone else? Was it strictly a time to hire that you were last in, first out? Or had you been there 5 or 6 years and people that were less experienced stayed and you got asked to leave? Why? Was it a performance issue? Did you not have a good internal network? Those are all questions you need to ask yourself to kind of get your mind clear so you can get ready to look for that next better job. So take a few days. Do not dismiss the importance of learning. Do not dismiss the importance of grieving. When you lose a job, whether right or wrong, we all kind of identify with our jobs, and that's kind of helps define who we are. And so if you're sad about what's happened, kind of think about it. Take some time, a couple of days, to kind of process that. Now, You need to sit down with your spouse, your partner, your parents, and make a financial plan. You cannot focus on the essential of a job search if you're preoccupied all the time. I mean, if you're worried about money, you're going to be in trouble. So get a plan so that you can make your resources last as long as possible. Another aspect of the early stage action plan is prepare yourself mentally and financially. Sit down with your parents, as we just said, and work out a plan of how much it's going to cost you to take care of your job search and survive over the next, hopefully not long, but maybe 8 to 14 months. Okay? Finding a comparable or better job without question is going to take longer today. It's going to take longer than you think, and people get really frustrated with that. Number one, don't get frustrated, because there are a lot of people out there in the same boat you are. There are a lot of people out there who are exceptionally talented, who have exceptional track records that ran into political buzzsaws, or where they reduced the size of the C-suite or the management organization, and they're going through the same thing you are, trying to find a job, and networking and applying online, the whole gamut. So it's going to take more time than you want it to. People aren't going to respond to you like you think they should. So I went, and then you're going to submit resumes if you're doing it online, and you're never going to hear anything. Why? Because with the applicant tracking system, if you had a format error, or you had too many spelling or grammatical errors, or other issues, you can get eliminated. And it doesn't tell you, sorry, Charlie, you didn't make the score. Many times you submit your resume, you don't even know if it was accepted, and then you never hear anything. And they do that 5 or 6 or 10 times, especially for jobs you think you're really well qualified for. It can really drive you down. So the emotional toll can be intense. Rejection is never any fun. Now, as I said before, your job search should address financial contingencies. If bad things happen, this will make it easier to adjust. I mean, when you least can afford the washing machine to go out, or the dishwasher to go out, you can live without the dishwasher. The clothes washer, not so much. Those things happen. So have a plan for how you're going to handle those contingencies. And I think you need at this point to also begin thinking about what you're going to say when you're asked, why did you leave? Why did they pick you? And you got to have a really good statement. And you can't just hem-haw it and wait till you get before the interviewer. That's dumb. That's a costly mistake. That shows you're not focused. You don't have a plan, and you're gonna suffer through that, because when you botch questions in interviews, when you're not prepared, it just extends your job search. Now, and you should be able to have that kind of format, what you're going to say about your last 4 or 5 jobs. If you were recruited away, always say that. Don't assume that the employer can read your mind. They can't. Don't assume they're going to get the right number if you give them math to add it up. They won't. You have to be very specific. I left this job because I was recruited. I left this job because I had an opportunity to take a job with a bigger scope of responsibility, paid better, with a better benefit package, and a move in the organization. If it was a layoff, be sure you explain that. I got really good, all of my performance reviews were good. There were no work plans, no action plans against me. I got along well with my colleagues. You want to be able to write that in a way that's smooth, flows well, and touches on all those points. Again, the why should I hire you question, your value brand statement. This must be, in this market, absolutely rock solid. So this is the time you start pulling all that together and to start to really learn it and perfect it. Now, one of the other things that happens that slows down searches is that people dig in their heels about the possibility of a relocation. No, I promised my kids that I could let them finish high school. If you have a job where there's political implications, or you're like a school superintendent or a city manager or a hospital administrator or any number of other jobs in management positions, sometimes you have no control. You can be doing a great job and some politician got up on the wrong side of the bed and you can be looking for a new job. So don't put yourself in a box about, no, I'll never relocate again. This is the last move. It's life. It's life. And no, the way our society is now, and it's going to change even more, we're going to become more mobile. You'll have to be more flexible. There'll be more commuting to work, more remote work. And if you can get that, great, but you might have to relocate. And that's still a probability. If you relocate, it expands your job search market. Even if you're in a place like Houston or Chicago or New York, it can be tough to find a job. It's a bigger city with more opportunity and more competitors. So you may have to look in other markets. I think that's a really healthy thing to do with your spouse, your partner, your kids, if they're old enough to understand. But don't shy away from the relocation issue. Don't dig your heels in and then lose 4 or 5 months and then go, well, maybe I'm going to have to do that. You lost 4 or 5 months. The money that you spent because you dug in your heels on the relocation is gone. You can't get it back. So if that's retirement money, you're going to have to replace it. So don't do that. Be open to that because it's just the way life is changing. The old deal that you could go work for a company and work for 15 or 20 years, that's history. It doesn't happen much anymore. Okay, the second phase of the action plan, if you cannot or will not relocate, you must prepare for the possibility of a career change. And that's something else. If you're in a city, I'm in a great little town with a medical school and 2 really good hospitals and a big two or three universities. We have a lot going on here. A lot of oil and gas production, rose processing, a lot of things happening in this community. We have a very, very positive economic outlook. Okay. But if I were in healthcare, for example, in this town as a senior executive and I lost my job, there is no question I would have to move because the other organization is not going to hire me. They just don't do that. It's very difficult. So I can either relocate to another better job with another healthcare organization someplace else, or I can sit down and say, I think I want to be an interim executive, just in time executive. And if you do that, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But that's a way, if you can't find a job in your community, that's a way you can stay in town. We have a regional airport. You can connect into Dallas, and you can go all over the world. And people who do that work, they really like it, but you've got to be really good at you have to be really good at defining your value and knowing what you can provide the organization. Now, if you want to change careers, you've got to think about, okay, what skills and certifications will be required. Community colleges or online courses can support that transition, but that's another way you can stay in the market if you lose your job. If a career change is not feasible, then evaluate those other options we just talked about, remote consulting, interim management, or maybe even business ownership. That's another option, franchise or acquiring an existing business. But do your due diligence. If it's a business you do not know anything about, you've never been in the restaurant business, a lot of people say, I've always wanted to own a diner. Well, I've been in the food business with my parents when they owned a bakery years ago. And I can tell you, are there glamorous moments? Oh yeah, baby, they are. Are there a lot of late nights? Are there a lot of sore backs and sore legs? Absolutely. Are there a lot of scary moments? Yes. But if you know the business, you get through it. It's part of it. If you don't know the business, the old joke about restaurants is if the way to make a little money in the restaurant business is start with a lot of money. So be careful what you pick. If you don't know the industry, find out how you can get up to speed. A lot of people go into franchises and lose their shirt because they said, oh, well, this will be safe because they won't let me fail. Franchise businesses fail just as much as any other business. Okay, I've gone through 4 career changes and started 4 successful businesses. So I get people calling me all the time to say, how did you do it? What are the steps you take to kind of look at things? And we can talk about that in another lecture. But there's an important rule. Stay connected with reality, what's reasonable and possible in your job search. Don't lose that reality. Don't go going down rabbit holes because you're burning up resources, you're burning up time, and you're going to regret that because you can't get the money back and you can't get your time back. So be focused. If something is maybe innovative, it's something you want to look at, fine, but get after it, make a quick decision whether it's a viable option or not, and don't just stay focused in it with a process. Don't being, oh, I'll try this over here and then this over here, and you're going to end up with making maybe 30 or 40 applications online and have nothing to show for it. Okay, continuing with our action plan. Now, you need to review your written plan in comparison with your existing professional network. Is there alignment? These are the people that are going to help you find the really good jobs that are not listed. So you've got to be sure that your network is aligned. And if you're working on building a network, tie it to your career plan. It's great to have a lot of friends. Friends are really important in life. But in a job search, friends who are surrounding you in the existing community where you can't find a job aren't going to be much help unless they're well connected in their industry. And that happens, but not common. Okay, if you have insurance guys and lawyers and guys at the Rotary Club and all that, that's good to have them in your social network. Okay, but in professional network, get really, really focused. Okay, really focused on your career plan. What do I want to accomplish, and who can I connect with, where we can share ideas and help each other and go up the ladder. That's what you have to do. And if you lose your job, having a career network that's aligned with your plan means that I think I want to work in Salt Lake City, Utah. I hear that's a great city, and it is. Okay, so who do I know out there? Zero. Well, then you're either going to have to do a lot of fast talking on the telephone to build relationships, or get introduced to somebody from somebody. Okay, or you're going to have to apply online, which is miserable. The odds for success in online applications are running right now between 150 to 200 to 1. Okay, and one guy the other day spent an hour putting his online package together. He submitted it. There was an error. You're going to have to resubmit. He resubmitted again, another error. He spent almost 2 or 3 hours on this search submission. And then when he finally got it in, he was number 400. Okay, that's devastating, and it's intense because you know the rejection's coming. Okay, so when you do get laid off, don't hide under a bush. As you're getting ready to go to market, do a note that says, hey, send it out to your friends in your social network and any colleagues you know in business. I'm transitioning from this organization. It's a great time to do that. Even if it's not, you say that, you be positive, and you talk about where I'm going. Creatively share information on your journey. Listen, I know you're not in the job market, but let me tell you what I've learned. I mean, that can be a great way to build good relationships, and a lot of people can really benefit from your actual experience, because most of those people have not one freaking clue about how the job market works today. So you can, if you make the announcement, I'm going to do a job search. My family and I are really excited about the possibility for the future, and I'll keep you informed. But we are really excited. This couldn't be a better opportunity. Be very positive. Nobody wants to hear from you saying, the bastards did me wrong, and you don't want to go there. Okay, this is about your brand. You want your brand on an upside, and a lot of people do get angry, and sometimes they vent that anger in their emails to their friends about losing a job. Make it positive. Talk about the future, and give them an opportunity to help you, because sometimes those people have some leads. So don't just blow it off, and don't be embarrassed to say you're making a transition. Again, take your value brand statement, that VBS, and the answer to why should we hire you question, and perfect it for the elements of your career plan. And then you can use that as you talk. You can practice on your friends and your emails. So these things you just continue to work on. You continue to work on, but you stay focused on your plan. Where do you want to work? I told one client who just gotten laid off, I said, have you made any commitments about not leaving town? He said, well, no. And I said, well, sit down. They're not going to be happy. Nobody wants to leave. Okay. But sit down and say, look, where would we like to live if we couldn't live here? And say, do we like to ski as a family? Do we maybe want to try to live closer to the mountains? Or we love to sail, but maybe we want to live closer to the water? Or, would love to have, horses, and we like that kind of life. Maybe we want to move to a community where we can buy a ranch or a farm. There are all manner of options and ways to lead those discussions. But then decide geographically where you want to be and start looking in that geographic region. Are there suitable employment opportunities for me? And sometimes you can go look at the online job boards and you won't see much, but they may be a lot of jobs there. Question is, do you have contacts in that area? Can you build contacts in that area? And you use LinkedIn and your professional association directory to contact people in those areas. Find out who they are. Do the homework on them. Are they well placed in the organization? Just based on watching their posts. And then to connect with them. Don't ask for a job. Don't ask for a job. Just say, I'm making a transition. We love the mountain area. What's it like to live there? What's it? Just try to get information. Just try to start the process of building the relationship. Okay. You also need to talk to vendors, and colleagues through professional associations. The ACHE has a huge online directory with telephone numbers and email addresses. That's invaluable in your search. You don't want to send out mass emails to all those people because most of the time professional associations view that as an unethical opportunity. But you can use the emails and target people going through in those organizations, and just say you're making a transition, and if you hear of anything, and be sure in that email, not a long email, very direct with a good subject line, list your 3 to 4 signature strengths and some very good solid accomplishments, and send that email out to those people. Okay. Use LinkedIn and those directories to open the door for conversations. Now, this is hard, but this is valuable career equity for your future changes. And that you build those relationships. It's like changing and adding, it's like redoing a bathroom or a kitchen to your home. It adds incredible equity value to your career. So build those relationships. The whole process of networking is really not hard because there's certain steps you take, but it's work most people dislike. In the job search, if you are going to say, well, I'm not going to do that because I don't like doing that, and I'm not going to do that because I don't like doing that, and you give me 2 or 3 things you don't want to do, and I can almost add how many months this is going to add to your job search. So there is a big, big, big deal where for you to do the things you must do to advance your job search. Again, all day, every day, you got to be focused, you got to be intentional, and you've got to be confident. Okay? People don't want to hire or talk to people that are complaining, whining, and are not confident and not upbeat. And it's hard. I know. When I lost my job once, I had to be known as the biggest whiner in Texas. And that's really stupid, and I wasted a lot of time. Fortunately, I didn't lose any friends, but you could tell they were getting tired of me. So, some of the most successful people I know realized that being open to change was instrumental to their financial, professional, and family success. So we get back to that area. Don't close the door on a relocation. I know wives or husbands, partners. We burrow in and we form relationships. But life changes, and money is the root of all evil. But gosh, man needs its roots, and so sometimes you just have to make those tough choices. Don't allow yourself to get backed in a corner where you cannot do that unless you're prepared to build your own consulting practice or build your own interim management business, or you're willing to risk life and limb and go in and buy a local business. Okay. Otherwise, you're kind of in an interesting situation. The other day, I talked to someone and we were talking about what scares you the most. And he said, running out of money, being homeless, or calling someone you don't know on the telephone. I thought those were 3 incredible things he put together in one sentence. So, those should be your motivators. Okay, even if the two of them are kind of really bad, if that motivates you, then fine, hit the gas pedal. Also, add performance accountability steps to your career plan, your job search plan, and hold yourself accountable. It's the way to power your action forward. Holding yourself accountable. I'm going to make 10 contacts this week with people in my 4 or 5 geographic target regions. And I'm going to really kind of connect. Then I'm going to do a follow-up email or a follow-up video email. Those are very popular, and they get opened and remembered. In SendSpark, BombBomb, they all have programs. Look these up because that can help accelerate your job search and relationship building. So you want to have performance accountability. You want to try different things. You are the CEO of you, and CEOs are accountable for the business. And so you have to create, sort of your CEO accountability plan. Again, why should someone hire you if you can't execute well on a job search? How are you going to be able to say, I'm really struggling with this job search? And you can tell when somebody's struggling. They just come to the interviews and sometimes they look tired and just beaten up, or they're down emotionally. And it's really, you just want to try to lift them up and hug them and tell them everything's going to be okay, because it will. But when you're going through it, you don't see that happening. Matter of fact, many people say, I don't know if I'll ever work again. And so you want to stay focused, you want to have a plan, and you want to avoid those negative feelings because those things slow you down. Now, one of the things you have to do in this accountability plan, part of what is about taking care of your family, your children, your spouse, or your partner. They depend on you. And as I said earlier, stuff happens. We all know that. In our eulogy, we are judged on how we respond to those challenges. So I want to encourage you that if you are making a transition, if you're thinking about changing careers, whatever I can do to help lift you up, I'm here because it's really important. One of the things sometimes you get so frustrated in job search, and you don't you unload on your spouse or your partner, and after a while that gets to be a bit much. And so I've had several people that said, oh yeah, can I if I'm really having a bad day, can I call you if you're available? Yeah. I try to wrap up my days at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, but if I know you're going to call me, I'll stay around, to help you. Again, I've gone through job changes, I've gone through career changes, and I can help you if that's part of your process, if that's in your plan. But be sure you take care of your family. Don't overload on them. Be positive. Keep them informed. And be accountable. You can do more for your family by not telling them what you're doing. Just do it, and keep them informed of the results and the goal. I think this is one of the saddest pictures I've seen in a long time in my job coaching and recruiting business. There's another I'm going to show you in just a minute that has a real story behind it. Uncertainty in the markets right now are real. People think we may have a deeper recession. Some people think we're going to have a soft landing, whatever that means. But there's a lot of uncertainty. And there's a lot of reasons to think a recession can happen, but the other indicators show maybe not. So there is uncertainty. Companies are still laying off because they don't want to have too many people. People are kind of committing to an ongoing layoff program so they can keep their expenses in line. So regardless of your beliefs about politics and who should win and who should lose, your career plan should be focused and nonpartisan, okay? Stay out of that. Uncertainty in the U.S. economy it's real. I've talked to people all over the country, and people say that pretty much the same thing. As I said, some of the indicators are positive, some are not. We don't know. What you can do is be prepared, be focused. If you're in a job search now, get really focused and really work very hard. Don't get on a Tuesday and say, I'm really tired. I think I've worked hard this week. I'm going to go play a couple of rounds of golf. Okay. But the work that you didn't get done on Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday, or whenever you went to play golf is going to have to get done. So you're going to have to put in extra time to get it done. The fewer people you contact, The fewer people you try to connect with, the fewer people that you talk to about intel, about possible jobs coming open or jobs that aren't posted in organizations, the fewer people you talk to, the longer it's going to take you to find a job. So you have to stay focused. Friday afternoons, go play golf. It's a great time. Not much is happening in the job search world on Friday afternoon. But keep everything balanced. You've got to do that because there's a lot of work to do. Be loyal to your beliefs, but be prepared for, a bumpy ride. As Betty Davis said in All About Eve, fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night. In this economy right now, and I've seen this already in the last 12 to 14 months, some people are just a half slide step. They've been okay all their life. They have, a lot of expenses, maybe spending a little bit too much here or there when they shouldn't have, but, they are just a half slide step from losing security, being homeless. Now, you don't want to get here. And if you are not focused and you are not disciplined with your execution, you're not focused with your plan, you're not disciplined with the execution of your plan, walking away that day with the box and you're upset, but you think everything's going to work out, and it's a lot of your colleagues got laid off, that's a devastating experience. Get over it really quick, as quickly as you can. I know there's stages of grief, but don't dwell. Start to immediately, take a couple of days, but immediately start to think about your value brand statement. Think about your exit statements. Think about where you and your family would like to go if you can't stay in that community, and make it an adventure for the family. Okay, it can happen where you can slide off the table. As I said the other day, a 39-year-old woman in Chicago had an unexpected expense. Her mother was very, very sick. She was getting hassled to pay the bills. And so the daughter says everything was good. And I had some money, so I took care of mom's bills. And then she lost her job. And so that cushion that could have been okay for her suddenly wasn't there. Just bad timing. Stuff happens like that. And she has said to me several times, God, I hope I'm not going to be homeless. Well, she's now gotten 2 or 3 offers because she worked like a mad woman and was really focused. But she got to a point, she was slow out of the gate after she got laid off, and she was really dwelling on her bad luck. And so she lost 2 or 3 or 4 months. You can't afford to do that. You can't afford to do that. Severances are not as rosy as they were during the pandemic. And companies in some cases are giving, if you haven't been with a company too long, 90 days. 90 days is no time in today's job market. So, you've got to think ahead. Be sure you have a contingency. If you can build some extra cash in the budget that can help tide you over so that you don't have to deplete what retirement plans you may have. Take charge of your career in a broader sense, so that when something like this happens, you can take charge of your job search. As I've said before, you are the CEO of you. Now, the market is changing in dramatic, in some cases, frightening ways. But you can master this, you can get through this if you have a career plan. If you get laid off, then you put together a job search plan that targets organizations, geographic regions, and you have a disciplined work schedule and a disciplined execution schedule. You can accelerate your job search, but you're going to have to be willing to try things new, like video emails. You're going to have to be willing to make phone calls to people you don't know. Horror. But let me tell you, you call, they may be busy, they may not want to talk to you, they may even be rude. Okay? Fine. That's on them, not you. Move on, forget about it, and keep moving forward. That's the key to being successful. Now, the hidden secret to accelerating your job search. The most dangerous place is your safety zone. Okay? It is absolutely more people, they'd rather they would rather be unhappy than uncertain. And in a job search, you're going to be uncertain, and there's going to be a lot of rejection. Now, if you stay in your safety zone, that's where real talent evolves into mediocrity. Don't do that to yourself. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section. I'll be happy to visit with you about them. If you want to talk about them now, I'll wait a few minutes and see if anybody has questions. You can always email me at info@johngself.com. I'm happy to take whatever time I can to help you through this tough time. As I said, I've gone through this before and earlier in my career. I know what it feels like. I've also done 4 career changes, and they were great. It was a wonderful part of my life. And I went from being a newspaper reporter and editor. I was working crime on the mean streets of Houston, writing investigative pieces and covering daily crime. And there was a lot of it back then. And I went from there to hospital public relations, to managing the hospital's helicopter ambulance program, to being the national marketing manager for the aircraft program, to starting 2 successful search firms, to being the business development director of hospital management services, and now as a career coach. And all of those changes had a lot of uncertainty, but there was a lot of excitement and a lot of learning. And so I really encourage you, if you get a chance, if you think about changing career, you got to be careful. You got to think these things through clearly. But that's what we're here for. We're here to help you. We have a great membership program for $49 a month, and you can get access to all of our information. I'm working on a couple of programs now about career change, so we'll keep you informed. Check out our newsletter tomorrow. Drops on Substack. It's called John's Substack. It also there'll be a link in our membership page. If you are a career community member, you have access to that. Okay. I'm not sure we're going to get any questions today. Sometimes we don't. That is the kind of workplace we'd all like to be, where people are friendly, where we are all engaged. And those opportunities, you may not think that they'll happen again, but they will. So we encourage you to consider our Career Community Program. Visit johngself.com. There's a bar on the right side of the homepage. It's called the Gateway to Your Career Community. And you can join. It's $49 a month. You get an all-access pass to all of our online education. It's online and on demand. If you need consulting, we have significant discounts on our consulting plans. There's no contract unless you engage in one of our premium do-it-for-you transition programs. You don't have to sign a contract. Now we have low prices, discounted pricing. We're not here. I've had a great career. So my goal now is to help people like you make that career transition, including sometimes I have to kind of kick you in the butt. But sometimes, I can answer your questions. I can give you encouragement. That's what this your career community is all about. And so I hope you'll give it a look. If you have any questions, feel free to call me, and you can set up a call on our website. So thanks for joining us today. I hope this has been good information, and we will see you tomorrow afternoon at 4:30 for our regular office hours career lecture and job search lecture. And we will, I think it's going to be a great program. We're working on that now. And remember, our newsletter drops at noon tomorrow. And then Thursday morning, we have Career Live, a 30-minute kind of summary of events and things going on. And Friday at 11, we answer your career questions. And that has been pretty interesting as well. So I've enjoyed that. I hope everybody will continue to support our organization and let us know what we can do to help you succeed. Thanks.